Hello to all my friends out there. Hi, you guys. It's me again. I think one of my biggest compliments was one of the followers said, I feel like I'm your friend. And I just thought that was so great. And then the rest of my followers, quite a few, said, I feel like I'm your friend. I feel like I'm your friend. So I really, really love that. So I have some chamomile tea. I usually make about 4 cups per day. And so when I started this channel, I wanted to show people what I do. You know, people would always say, how do you do it? And so I wanted to show people how I could get by. So I want to make some pizza dough. You know, I bought cheap food at Walmart. So I'm making half a batch. So I have a 1/4 cup. This is one thing that I do that's really cheap. If I only need a half a package, I only use a half a package, whether it should be a cake, whether it should be pancakes, whether it should be whatever. And then I need half a tablespoon of oil. And so you might be thinking, well, why should I listen to you? Well, why do you think you know anything? Well, what happened to me all the time is I would lose my job. It doesn't matter why. I would lose my job. And so what I would do is I would try to find another job as soon as I possibly could. But still, it's very financially devastating for some time. I need to heat my water after you lose your job. You know, basically, you should be pretty much messed up. You guys might have been following me when I lost my apartment. Yes. And then I lost $125 of my Social Security because of Medicare Part B. You have to have that. I was lucky the way that all worked out. So if you've been watching the last few days, I bought about 1 month's worth of food, very, very cheap, so that there is no chance that I'm going to be starving out. I doubt I spent $30. I spent very little. So, okay, I heated my water. It's a little too hot, but it'll be okay. So I'm just going to eyeball half of the dough. See how there's half left? And then I'll keep it in my freezer. So, you know, if it wasn't that, it would be something else, you know. So what you have to say to yourself is, okay, this is really, really bad. This is not really, really good, actually. But I need a little more water. But what you want to do is you want to say, wow, if possible, I don't want to let myself lose any ground financially. So you want to take every step you can. You want to be determined not to lose any ground financially. None. And you usually, if you are determined, what I'm trying to do is put the water, see how it's forming into a ball? That tells me it's a dough. So you say to yourself, okay, this is very, very crappy, but I'm determined not to lose any ground financially if I possibly can. Most of the time you can't. You will lose some, but you might as well lose as little ground financially as you possibly can. So what you're going to have to do is take steps right away to counteract what has happened. Like when I would lose my jobs, the next day I would get in my car in the morning and I would drive around to every beauty shop I could possibly think of. Anything I saw, no matter how awful. Most of the time they weren't more awful than the place I was working. So see how my dough looks nice? And then, you know, I would find another job as quickly as I possibly could. Usually the next day. And so when I had to leave my apartment, I moved out of there as quickly as I possibly could. Okay, so now I could make one large pizza, you know, I could make one pizza using all of my dough, or I could make a few small ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a large one, and I am going to make a thin crust so it can be baking. And then, you know, when I lost my $125, I went driving around, you know, first to figure out what has happened. And then, you know, they told me, okay, you can get food stamps and you can go to the food bank, which I will do as soon as I figure out where it is, here where I'm living. Where I used to live, I was over there today. Boy, I'm glad I live here. Really glad. But anyway, I will find out where these places are that I need to go. So I'm just making a really thin crust, as thin as I can. I'm no expert on pizza dough, that's for sure, but you know, this is going to taste good when I get done here. So what I want to make is I want to make a half and half. I want to encourage you guys, start thinking about some of this stuff before the fact. Like, okay, like, you know, I would have the feeling that, you know, they were up to no good at my apartment, at the job. And so, you know, I would say to myself, well, if they do this, you know, I'll do that. You know, so I was a little bit prepared, you know, as best as you can. It's never good for you, but, you know, at least you want to try to figure out what you might do. So, since I bought all this really, really cheap food, you know I'm going to have food. So I want to make my food as, you know, good as I possibly can. So that's a half a bag. So, at Dollar Tree, they have this pesto sauce. If the stuff you put on your pizza is half decent, it's probably going to be a half. I find these to be good. 50 cents, Walmart. So I just want to, here's my Dollar Tree, and this is going to make a lot of pizzas. I'll keep it in the refrigerator, and then what I'll do is I'll just freeze the rest. So you want to make yourself some good food even though you're being incredibly cheap. So now I have a tomato, but if you don't have a tomato, use canned tomatoes. Canned tomatoes will taste good on this, you know, any kind you have. When you're making really cheap food, I have found it's best not to put, you know, don't get too, you know, put too much ingredients, or it's just going to taste really, really horrible. The fewer ingredients and cost effective as well. So I'm going to use all my tomatoes. And then on top, I happen to have Parmesan cheese. So this is where your stockpile comes in handy, you know. This is going to be good. And it's going to be quick, too. Okay, so now on the other side, I want to adapt my my pizza sauce recipe, which I want to give you guys. One of the weaknesses on my videos is that the recipes are not good visible. So let's see if I can give you the shot of the recipe. There we go. But what I want to do is I want to make a crazy cheap version because I don't want to use up much of my resources on a little batch of spaghetti. I mean a little batch of pizza. So I'm using, this is, okay, 10 tomatoes, 1 cup water, 2 tablespoons olive oil, blend until smooth. Whoops. And then 1/4 cup sugar, 2 tablespoons garlic, and 1 tablespoon vinegar. This is good, but on the bottom here is my, shoot. Oh. On the bottom here is my recipe that is really cheap. 1 can tomatoes and juice with olive oils, blend until smooth. Salt, pepper, and sugar to taste. 1 teaspoon vinegar, squirt of ketchup, crushed red pepper, garlic, onion, both dry to taste. So, pizza sauce is kind of sweet, so you can very well use ketchup. And it doesn't take that much. So I have, this is my tomato. I have a little oil, not too much because this is a little bitty batch. You don't need that much. And this is going to taste good, you guys. And then let's see, vinegar, a tiny bit. Most people have that. Sometimes you want pizza and you really can't justify, I'll just put like a little bit. Just to break up that sweet ketchup-y taste. And then salt, pepper, and sugar. I like some pepper. You need a little salt because it's so sweet. And you need, I'll just sprinkle a tiny bit of garlic. You don't need that much. Last night I forgot in the tartar sauce, it's mayonnaise, dill pickle relish, and lemon. I have crushed red pepper, and then I like crushed red pepper and Parmesan on my pizza. So this is going to be my spaghetti sauce, and believe it or not, you guys, this is going to be good. You're not going to be suffering eating this. You're going to be liking it. You're going to be loving it, actually. And I have found, you know, when you're making cheap food, the less ingredients, you know, don't go wild because that's going to make it taste not really yummy. You know, it's going to be better with, you know, just stick to the basic recipe. And then I have some pepperonis. So, you know, since it's a cheap meal, you don't want to load it down with too much pepperoni. $0.50. So this is pretty cheap. You could have, you know, a lot of people love pizza. So by doing this, you can have pizza quite a few nights in a row. At least 2. And it's good left over too. So so you only need about a quarter. And then what I had is in my refrigerator, I had some mozzarella cheese, but you could use Parmesan cheese if you don't have any. So I'll just try to grate it over the pizza. This won't take more than like a few minutes. It'll be ready to go. All right. So we have a half and half. Let me give you a close-up before I slip it in the oven. Now, I have another recipe, another good one. It's top ramen. A lot of people go, I hate that stuff. Well, this was good, you guys. You're gonna like it. Okay, it's a spin on taco soup. So I have some, every time I cough, I get paranoid. I have some beef flavor top ramen. That's a good thing to stockpile. So this is going to be like a taco soup, top ramen taco soup thing. Just because, you know, times are hard, one doesn't have to make them any worse than they already are. So be determined not to lose ground and to adjust by being incredibly cheap as soon as you can. These are some of my secrets for surviving all this stuff that has happened to me in my old age. Now I'm to my old age. So if you've been watching, you've seen that I've bought cheap food, very cheap food. And so this is Walmart hamburger, a little bit. I think I'm just going to go with the basic Walmart hamburger. I think I get the best value for the money. You know, some of it's cheaper, but you're only getting 3/4 of a pound. And then, you know, I'll put the noodles in now. And then I really love this taco seasoning. I get this at Dollar Tree. So I will put in about a half a tablespoon should do it. You know, a little bit to flavor my top ramen up, kind of like taco soup. So this is a half tablespoon. There's cheaper ones, but this one is good. You know what was good? You can taste it. I think this is enough. So I didn't need to add salt. Okay, so now let me move back over here. So let me give you another shot of the tomato sauce, and then, you know, my revised edition. So I'm cooking up. One of the things I'm doing for sure is I'm cooking up my cheap food that I bought. And when you guys saw that stuff I bought for 50 cents, you were probably thinking, who would want to eat that? It's good, you guys. You know, it'll get you by in a pinch. Okay, so now I'm going to cook up my recipes. Okay, so you might be thinking, I lost my job. I lost my apartment. I lost my money. What am I going to do? I'm screwed. Well, what you have to do is you have to start looking at things in a different way. You have to be creative. And you have to say, okay, what if I make, let me check. Ooh, my pizza's looking good. What if I make this disaster like a game? You know, this is not a game. This is my life. I am screwed. Well, if you stay in the panic mode, it's going to be harder to get out of it. So you might say to yourself, all right, let me see if a half a tablespoon is enough. Yummy, that is good. There's no game about being broke. I don't have enough food. I don't have enough money. How am I going to get food and money? Therein is the rub. So, you have to say to yourself, wow, this sucks. What the hell am I going to do? Now let me give you the taco soup recipe. This is a good basic one. So, what am I going to do? What the hell am I going to do? Well, you're going to start thinking, how can I get food and money? How can I get enough? How can I get it free? Well, you can collect cans. You saw me do that. I mean, who wants to do that? But, you know, it's better than nothing. So you might consider that. You might consider dumpster diving. I tried to tell one lady, you know, this is like the typical person who's broke. I tried to tell her, you know what, she was collecting cans, and what I tried to tell her is, why don't you try the trolley center? Because that was one of my best 7-Elevens, liquor stores, and gas stations, and the trolley centers. I'd say bus depots. A lot of times the casinos give you free meals. You might consider that senior day. They try to entice you up there. All right. One, you could go to the food bank, and you might be going, that's no game, that's no joke. Well, it depends how you want to look at it. You can look at it as trying, you know those people that are, you go, oh, they're just using the system. Well, maybe they're just trying to survive, you guys. You know, maybe they're going out of their way to try to get food so they can survive. So I bought chips. I usually keep all kinds of chips. The reason chips is because chips can be used so you don't run out of bread. And then, you know, I bought this salsa the other day, you may remember. So, okay, you could think of going to the food bank as like a game, as like how I can get food for free. You could go to the food banks and the food pantry, same thing. If you're too embarrassed, one of the things you don't want to do at a time like this is to worry about what Tom, Dick, and Harry is thinking. Because really, the truth is, Tom, Dick, and Harry, they don't care what you do. You got to get, I have salsa. You got to get back on track. And then the other thing you can do is you can ask the food pantries and the food banks if there is any leftover food, can you have it? Ooh, my pizza is looking good. Let me show it to you. It needs a few more minutes, but you're going to be able to get the idea. So here is my homemade pizza, dirt cheap, and it's going to be tasty. I like mine brown. Let me give you one more shot of the recipe. Okay, you guys, more to come. More creative ideas. Please like, comment. Oh, and if you have any good ideas how to get food or money free, coupons are really good. There's quite a few. Buy one, get one free. And I wanted to mention what is very, very delicious with taco soup is to try to get some on your chip. Uh-oh, it's not showing. This is very important. Try to get some soup on your chip. It's too hot, but you get the idea. If you have any good ideas how to get money or food free, dumpsters could work out. Everybody I've ever heard said Aldi's is the best. Okay, you guys, please like, comment, and subscribe, and God bless you all.